Okay, gravitational lensing and the black hole in Interstellar. Practicality over accuracy. By me. 8 years ago, in September 2014, there was this great movie called Interstellar. In summary, it is a piece of science fiction that I myself I consider as great as 2001: A Space Odyssey. So somewhere in the early 21st century, a plague blight spreads over the world. It affects plants, of course, but we humans depend on plants, so there's less oxygen in the atmosphere, there's less food for everybody else. And at the same time, NASA is studying this wormhole that appeared near Saturn, and this wormhole leads to another galaxy, and the regions of this galaxy that the wormhole leads to have potentially habitable planets. So NASA has some time ago already sent people into the wormhole to explore those planets and confirm if they are habitable or not. But at this point in time, they do not have that much resources to spend exploring each and every one of them. So they choose the best they have, which is a star system that has three planets in the habitable zone. But it's not only a single star system, it's actually a system around a spinning black hole. Okay? So this black hole has a ring of matter, which we call an accretion disk. The accretion disk is dust and gas that is in falling around the black hole, and due to tidal forces, this gas heats up so much it gives off lots of light. So basically, the black hole has a liquid star around it that goes around in a disk, and it basically serves as a sun. And the whole story balances out on then trying to find a habitable world around this black hole, which we call Gargantua. Uh, so at the time, there was this uh, team of astrophysicists that actually worked on the movie. They did some research while working for the movie. They did quite a number of big breakthroughs in astrophysics for black holes. And well, it is quite interesting because up until that point, no one had actually heavily uh, focused on the aspect of gravitational lensing for black holes. You know, they always are depicted those strange black spheres. Sometimes they are purple. Not a lot of science fiction focuses as much on black holes as Interstellar did. So, yeah, it was quite a bit of work to actually simulate the black hole that appears in Interstellar. So let me explain what gravitational lensing is, okay, at least in the context of Interstellar. So you have this zone, this sphere of influence, that is the innermost stable circular orbit around the black hole. It's not actually the event horizon. It's outside of the event horizon. It just limits how close can the accretion disk be from the event horizon, which is usually 2.6 to 3 times the size of the event horizon, depending on how fast the black hole is spinning. And then there's the accretion disk around the black hole. Up until the point that Interstellar came around, this is what black holes used to look like, you know, in the minds of the people that actually study those. Okay, but remember, the black hole has a very strong gravitational pull. So any light coming from behind the black hole, any light coming from behind the black hole, it will bend around, and some of this light will get to the observer. So the impression that the observer has of this black hole is that the accretion disk is bending, it's folding like in two, and he sees an upper halo and a down halo around the black hole. The regions of the accretion disks that are closer to the black hole, they suffer a more dramatic lensing, while the regions further away from the black hole and the light rates that do not approach as much from the black hole, they suffer a more weak lensing. And that happens because gravity gets weaker with distance. So the closer you have more lensing, and the further away you have less lensing. So the overall effects that you have is a bent up uh, disk. You see a bent up accretion disk forming a sort of upper halo, and below the disk you have the underneath of the accretion disk, the down part of the accretion disk, appearing as a smaller semicircular region. If you are facing the black hole edge on with the accretion disk. And this is pretty much what you should expect from an actual black hole in case you see it fit edge on with the accretion disk. And it is this what we see in Interstellar. Of course, there's much more complex mapping physics on this, but this is the basic of gravitational lensing. Here's the effect, describable as crudely as I can. But the team that worked in Interstellar, they had big computers. They had actual astrophysicists and programmers working on how to make it come true. And we are basically monkeys with gigabytes RAM notebooks. Okay, so how can we come to simulate this effect? How? Well, let's switch from gravitational lensing to analogical lensing. Okay, so the basic concept is that you have a massive object that has a very strong gravitational pull, and this gravitational pull bends light rays in such a way that when they reach the observer, you have a composite image that's not the actual object; it's a projection. Okay, so we can simply exchange gravity by an actual refraction lens for this to work. And the geometry of this lens should more or less imitate the way gravity uh, weakens with distance. So, geometrically speaking, this lens should be very bulbous in the center, and as you come away from the black hole, as you come away from the object, it should thin out as a single paper thin sheet. And it's basically what I've done here, geometrically speaking. This is what I've done here. Here we have the black hole in the center, this sphere. Here I have the black hole. We have the accretion disk model like this. Okay, and this structure around here is my lens. As you can see, it is very bulbous in the center and it thins out. Okay, in actuality, this would thin out towards infinity, but we cannot work with infinity here, so I just made it slightly bigger than the accretion disk. Okay, so this is what the geometry looks like. Okay, so let me open this right here. This is the options of the texture right here. So if I deactivated the grid, you cannot see the lens anymore. That is because lens is 100% transparent. We do not want the lens to become apparent. We do not want the lens to become apparent. We only want the refractive index. So I made a gradient right here. The gradient comes to an index of 5 at the very center and thins out to 5 meters from the black hole, and then to 1 also that is basically no refraction by 10 meters from the black hole. For scale, the black hole is 1 meter wide. Okay, for scale. What else? What else? Okay, so let me reactivate the grid so you can see the geometry again. See the geometry. I anchored the camera to the lens. I anchored the camera to the lens. Why? because this lens only works when it's facing the viewer face on. So you will get a strange effect if you face it from other directions. That's why the lens should always face the camera. So I made the lens the anchor, and the camera it's always face onto the lens no matter how I orient it, because that's how it would actually behave on the real world, except the lens would be gravitational, not actual physical lens like I'm doing right here. Okay, let me reorient this the way it was before. Okay, so let's see how this behaves. There we go. That's your Gargantua right here without needing 100 days per second of computational power. Of course, there's no actual physics behind this apart from the refraction part. But then you can tweak the effect by controlling the fall off of the refraction. So if I change this, gets stronger, like this gets weaker a little bit. You can control, so you can, if you know what you're doing, you can tweak this around, only using refraction. And that's it, guys. That's it.